Hey everyone, so today is day one of the Strixhaven spoilers. Included in today's day one spoilers, I'm going to go and have the cards that were spoiled before today, like Liliana, Casmina, those cards. You will also see the Commander face cards, as well as the Mystical Archive cards that have been unveiled so far. With these cards, there are quite a few to go and unpack, so I want to get right into it. But before I do, remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the video and the channel. Also, you can go and follow me at twitch.tv/Jarvis_Moonbeam, on Twitter and Instagram at Jarvis_Moonbeam, as well as join my Discord in the link in the description below. But let's get going. So, starting with the main set. On the main set, we have the commands. First, Witherbloom command. It is a black and a green sorcery. Target. You get to choose two of these modes. Target player mills 3 cards, then return a land card from your graveyard to your hand. Destroy target non-creature, non-land permanent with CMC 2 or less. I know it's mana value, but it's easier to say CMC. Target creature gets -3/-1 until end of turn, and target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So, for me, on this command, the removal of non-creature, non-land can be viable in some formats. Returning a land card from your graveyard can go and help out with not missing land drops, especially if you're playing fetch lands or like Fabled Passage, Prismatic Vista type lands. The -3/-1, probably not too much. Same thing with the lose 2, gain 2. I am not a huge fan of this, and I don't see it seeing much play, but you do have some flexibility. Silver Quill command, 2 a white and a black. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains flying. Return target creature card with CMC 2 or less from graveyard to the battlefield. Target player draws a card and loses 1 life. Target opponent sacrifices a creature. I like this one a lot more. The reason why I like this is of the flexibility of either buffing a creature and getting in for lethal. It slots well into a Loris Auras deck. When you're not able to get Loris out, you could still cast this and get a creature back. Card draw. Sure, it's 4 mana to draw a card and lose a life, but you're also getting another thing, another mode, and just creature removal. Creature removal is always good. This will definitely see play, and it's actually quite good for a standard format. Probably too slow for historic and older formats, but I definitely see it seeing play in standard. Quandrix command, 1 a green and a blue. Unlike the first two, this one is an instant. Return target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. Counter target artifact or enchantment spell. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. Or shuffle 3 target cards from graveyard into library. I don't like it. And the reason why I don't like it is because you have to be able to go and choose legal targets for those two. So it doesn't really work well as a counterspell, because if you don't have the one of the other two, or if you don't have a creature in play, or your opponent doesn't have a creature planeswalker in play, you're kind of out of luck there. If you don't have cards in the graveyard, you're out of luck there. I don't like it at all. I don't see it seeing play. I don't see it being good. Prismari command. Also an instant. 1 a blue and a red. Deal 2 damage to any target. Target player draws 2 and discards 2. Create a treasure token. Destroy target artifact. I like this one a lot as well. It's an instant. So for 3 mana, you can shock a creature or someone's face. You can destroy target artifact. You can loot if your hand sucks. Or you can get some of that mana back and create a treasure, so it's really only 2. Do you know what else costs 2 damage and does 2 damage to someone's face? The Stomps out of Bone Crusher Giant. It's removal. being able to destroy the Embercleave or Great Henge at instant speed, really good. The flexibility of this is going to go if you have a red-blue deck be in standard. This is going to be play. I think this is even a card that's playable in Commander. I like it a lot, and I think it might even be the best one. Lorehole Command. 3, a red and a white, also an instant. I love the art on this card. It's fantastic. But create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and get indestructible on haste until end of turn. Deals 3 damage to any target. Target player gains 3 life. Sack a permanent, then draw 2 cards. Also pretty good. The downside to this is it's 5 mana. If it was 4 mana, it would be better. Of course, less mana cost, better card. I just think with being at 5 CMC, I want to do more than any of these 4 modes combined. At 5 CMC, I want to be wiping the board with the Shadow's Verdict. I want to be drawing multiple cards. Playing a big creature, not a 3/2. It's not what I want to be doing at this level. But I still think it is okay. I just don't see it being worthwhile and seeing play. Professor Onyx, 4 and 2 black, also known as Liliana. This is the first time you see one of the new abilities from Strixhaven, Magecraft. And Magecraft is whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell. So that right there, that's Magecraft. Now, depending on what Magecraft is, you get a different payoff. For Liliana, it's each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. The copying being on there is going to potentially see some problems in older formats or even Commander if someone builds a Storm deck or uses the Storm mechanic. But we'll see what happens. Her plus ability. Lose 1 life, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. Something black likes to do, put stuff in the graveyard. -3, each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls. And -8, each opponent may discard a card. If they don't, they lose 3 life. And you repeat this process 6 more times. So it's essentially a Torment of Hailfire effect, where they don't have the option to sacrifice a permanent 7 times. It is a removal spell for 3 different creatures in Commander, or 1v1, 1 creature. And then it also helps you dig in your library. This cost of the card might be a little bit too much to see Commander play. I could see this seeing Standard play though. Just because of the +1. You never want, and even the -3. You never want to judge one off the ult though. Of course, playing this in a Vorinclex build could be game-ending and back-breaking. Kasmina Enigma Sage, 1 green blue, another 3-drop Simic Planeswalker. Yay. Each other Planeswalker you control has the loyalty abilities of Kasmina Enigma Sage. +2, scry 1. -X, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token, put an X +1/+1 counters on it, and -8, search your library for an instant or sorcery card that shares a color with this Planeswalker, exile that card, then shuffle. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. The chances of you ever getting this to ultimate is so low, it's not even worth mentioning. It only starts off at 2 loyalty. So with this starting off at 2 loyalty, your floor is scrying 1. You might be able to -1, create a 1/1 bird and protect it, and then start plussing it from there, or a 1/1 fractal creature, I'm sorry, not a bird. But you're not going to go and get there In a Super Friends build, in Commander that has green or blue, green and blue, play this all day long because Narset Parter Veils, Ashiok Dream Render, Kiora 3-drop from Kiora that one has minus from War. All those 3-drop, 4-drop only minus ability from War of the Spark in the uncommon, this is going to be able to go and give them a way to plus that ability. So this will be a staple in Super Friends decks. The only downside is a lot of Super Friends decks are helmed by Atraxa, which means that you do lose that ability for green. But if you do a 5-color Super Friends deck with like Golos at the helm or Kenrith or something like that, this will be a staple and you have to play it. Our first MDFC of the set, which they're going to continue having a few more. This MDFC is a Planeswalker MDFC. Rowan, Scholar of Spark to the front. Will, Scholar of Frost on the back. Rowan is 2 in a red. Will is 4 in a blue. They both have the ability, the static ability, instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Rowan's +1, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. If you've drawn 3 or more cards, it deals 3 damage instead. -4, get an emblem whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may pay 2. If you do copy that spell, then you may choose new targets for the copy. Her downside, she only starts at 2 loyalty. You get a +1 and might do 1 damage to an opponent. Maybe 3. But so susceptible to dying right away. Her emblem is pretty cool, but it's, yet again, you have to spend the mana on it, so it's not even worth it there. Will, I think, is a little bit better. It pretty much frogifies a creature. Well, it gives base power 0-2 until end of turn. So it really shrinks that Vorinclex a little bit. -3, draw 2 cards, so it's 5 mana, draw 2. Not the best. The -7 is where it's really good. Exile up to 5 target permanents. For each permanent exile this way, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. So if you're able to go on Will, and you're playing a token deck, this is good. It also acts as target removal in Commander to go and deal with multiple permanents at a time, or even 60 card formats, multiple permanents at a time. You're just giving bodies. In Commander, giving a player bodies isn't as big of a deal as it is in a 60 card format, but that is, the -7 here is really good. I like the +1 a lot too. Dragon's Guard Elite made draft as well. This time it's a +1/+1 counter on Dragon Guard's Elite. For 1 and a green, it's a human druid. That's a 2/2. For 4 and 2 green, you double the number of +1/+1 counters on it. So for a time, there was a Selesnya +1/+1 counters deck floating around in Standard. That's gone away. If that ever comes back, this is a must-have in that deck. The mana dump part of it makes it a very good card for limited. Archmage Emeritus, 2 and 2 blue. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. Card draw on a body for playing instants and sorceries. Slot this into a Niv Mizzet deck right away. Put this into the Izzet Flyers deck that was going around. This card, the drawing is perfection. Eager First here, 1 and a white. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Limited card, not standard, no other format, just limited. This is our first look at another new mechanic in Strixhaven. It's called Lesson. Confront the past. X and a black. You can choose one of 2 modes. Return target Planeswalker card with X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, or remove twice X loyalty counters from target planeswalker and opponent controls. Planeswalker removal spell, or recur one of your planeswalkers. And the lesson ties into the mechanic learn, which we'll see a little bit later. Another lesson, pest summoning. 1, Golgari. Create 2 1/1 black and green pest creature tokens that when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. Pop quiz. 2 and a blue. Instant draw a card. And here's where you see the first instance of the mechanic learn. Learn. You may reveal a lesson card you own from outside the game and put it into your hand, or discard a card to draw a card. In a 60-card format, I don't know how much you'll see this being played. You might see like flexible sideboard cards becoming lesson cards. In Commander, it will be a loot effect. I think this has the most power in Limited. It makes Limited really interesting and opens up your deck building selection. I like Learn a lot for that format. I don't know how much it's going to go and expand to being a difference maker in Standard or Historic. Professor of Symbology, 1 and a white. When it enters the battlefield, you learn. And it's a 2/1. Witherbloom Apprentice, black-green. Human Druid, that's a 2/2. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life and gains 1 life. So this is very similar to the Liliana Planeswalker in the life gain, life drain. I don't know if this is going to be able to make a difference in Standard. These are going to have to be new decks to build around. And we're going to have to see from there how spell-slingy and Gandalf-y Standard becomes. Silver Cool Apprentice. Target creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It's for white and a black. Not playable, no matter what. Limited, yes. Standard, no. Historic, no. Any other format, no. Quandrix Apprentice for a green and a blue. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a land card from among them and put that card into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. Definitely a limited bomb. I don't see it being a standard bomb. You don't really need mana fixing in standard or making sure you hit your land drops. There's enough other ramp options. You don't need this. Prismari Apprentice, a blue and a red. For its Magecraft, it can't be blocked this turn. If the CMC of the spell was 5 or greater, it also gets a +1/+1 counter. Could be interesting, except you're not going to be hitting that 5 often enough to make it like game breaking. And Lorehold Apprentice, a red and a white, also 2/2. For this, it's until end of turn, spirit creatures you control gain tap, deal 1 damage to each opponent. So these apprentices, I think they're all so for these apprentices, I think they're all very good in a limited format. In any 60-card format, a deck would have to be brewed around them. I don't see them seeing a lot of play, but I think they could be a difference maker in limited. Stormkiln Artist, 3 and a red, +1/+0 for each artifact you control, and whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, create a treasure token. I have brewed recently a Brea treasure deck. You will find that video on my channel. I love creating treasures. Treasures are my favorite tokens. It's a way to ramp without relying on lands. Because I hate ramping through lands, I'd rather ramp through artifacts. And the fact that this guy gets really large for your artifacts, I really like. Boros Equipment deck? Sure. I'd play this in a Boros Equipment deck in Commander. I'll put it in my treasure deck. Probably will not play it in any other format it will be good and limited as well. The first Elder Dragon. So I don't know if you haven't kept up with Strixhaven. Strixhaven schools were founded by 5 different Elder Dragons. The first one is Shadrick Silverquill. 3 a white and a black. Flying, double strike. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may choose to. Each mode must target a different player. Player creates a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. Target player draws a card and loses 1 life. Target player puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature they control. And it's a 2/5. I think that this might be better in like a control shell. Like maybe an Esper build. I don't think giving the benefit to your opponent is going to make it worthwhile in Standard. Now, if the rest of the dragons follow a cycle, it could be a little bit different. I still don't know if they're playable. I don't even really know if it's worthwhile in Commander. But it's something we'll see. We then have this new cycle of lands. Well, I say new, but it's finishing off an old cycle, where it's when it enters, you reveal the basic land type of one of the colors the land has. And if you do, it enters untapped. If you don't, it enters tapped. First one is a Simic, Vine Glimmer Snarl. Next is Necroblossom Snarl. Finally, Frostboil Snarl. Furry Calm Snarl. Shine Shadow Snarl. Now we're going to the deans of the college. So each dean for each school of Strixhaven is an MDFC. So for the Izzet school, you have Vilda, Dean of Perfection, 2 and a blue. It's a Djinn wizard that you tap it, may exile an instant or sorcery card from your hand and put 3 home counters on it. It gains at the beginning of your upkeep. If this card is exiled, remove a home counter from it. And when the last home counter is removed from this card, if it's exiled, you may cast it, and it costs 4 generic less to cast this way. So it's very similar to Suspend, except you still have to pay the mana for it when it comes off Suspend. Also kind of reminds me a little bit of Foretelling or Adventure. It's coming to be a theme of Wizards to go and make cards be in exiled zones, so you can go and free them from your hand so they can't be extracted from your hand. The other side of it is Nasari, Dean of Expression, 3 and 2 red. She's an Efreet Shaman, or he, can't really tell. The art is definitely a little weird. Oh, so bend back here. There's the head. Okay, got it. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of each opponent's library. Until of turn, you may cast spells from among those exiled cards. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, put a +1/+1 counter on Nasari, Dean of Expression. So, I like playing my opponent's decks. It's fun for me. I like things that make my opponents upset about me playing the game with them. I like that salt factor. It makes me happy. I will play the heck out of this card. I will try to make it work in Standard. Probably won't. I will probably find a home for it in a Commander deck somewhere. Who knows? Maybe it'll make me build an Izzet deck. I did have the Halden and Paco deck together for a little bit, where it was essentially only stealing my opponent's stuff. This is so much fun, and I want to build it, and I want to go and do something with it. And with Foretell being a mechanic, with Adventure being a mechanic, with the home counters being a mechanic, you have so many things that you could go and give Nasari a +1/+1 to make it a big beater to get it in there and make those commander damage hits that much smaller. It's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. Then you have Valentine, Dean of the Vein. It's a single black, 1/1 Menace Lifelink. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. When you do, you may pay 2 generic mana. If you do, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. The backside is the set Dean of the Root. 2 and 2 green, human druid. Then whenever you gain life, you may pay 1 generic. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain trample until end of turn, and it's a 4/4. So, 1-drop creatures in Standard that are worth playing, especially in Black. Unless you're playing rogues, they don't exist. This is a worthwhile creature that's a 1-drop worth playing in Standard. This is one of the few MDFC cards where what side you play, you don't need the backside. You can play this as a mono black card in Standard. Now, if you ever do flip over to the green side, it just benefits the black side because you get it past that 1/1. But having a 1/1 menacing lifelink on turn 1 is a difference maker right away. Plarg, Dean of Chaos, Orc Shaman. Tap it, and you loot. Discard a card, draw a card. 4 in a red, tap it. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary, non-land card with mana value 3 or less. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put all revealed cards not cast this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. Augusta, Dean of Order, 2 and a white. Other tapped creatures you control get +1/+0. Untapped creatures you control get +0/+1. Whenever you attack, untap each creature you control, then tap any number of creatures you control. I don't know. This just way too complicated. Like, you attack and you tap your creatures when you attack, so they get +1/+0. Then you could untap them so they get +0/+1, but then you could tap them again to give them back that +1/+0. So you can decide whether you want them to have more power or a bigger butt. I don't think it's worth it. This paying 5 mana to cast a non-legendary 3-drop or less, not worth it. This bad, decent, maybe, probably not playable. Keon, Dean of Substance, Elf Druid for 2 and a green. Tap, exile the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, put a study counter on it. 4 and a green, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put a +1/+1 counter on it for each different mana value among non-land cards you own in exile with study counters on them. Ibrahim, Dean of Theory, 2 and 2 blue for Bird Wizard. Has flying, has X and 2 blue. Tap it, exile the top X cards of your library, and put a study counter on each of them. Then you may put a card you own in exile with a study counter on it into your hand. So, Bustic Senate Commander cards, here we go. Ibrahim, Dean of Theory. Infinite mana, Thassa's Oracle, Labman, Jace, win. You exile your library, get Thassa's Oracle, cast it. Exile your library, get Jace, cast it. Just keep giving payoffs for infinite mana in Simic, why not? Keon, Dean of Substance. It only being the +1/+1 for cards with study on it. Don't know. Especially where it doesn't tell you so far with this card. There isn't a way for you to get a card back from study unless you play Ibrahim backside. You just pay the 2 blue and tap it, exile 0 cards, and get that card back from study. Still seems a little bit clunky to be worthwhile in Standard, but I would play this all day just for the blue side and using the green side to ramp in Commander. Shael, Dean of Radiance, 1 and a blue. 1 and a white for a Bird Cleric. 1/1 Flying Vigilant. Put a 1/1 counter on it. Each creature that enters the battlefield under your control this turn. Ambrose, Dean of Shadow, Human Warlock, 2 and 2 black. Tap it, put a 1/1 counter on another target creature. Then Ambrose, Dean of Shadow deals 2 damage to that creature. Whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it dies, draw a card. It acts as card draw on the backside. It acts as a way to grow your creatures on the backside. The front side, the white side, don't love it as much. It is vigilant, which is nice. So it's a 2-drop 1/1 with vigilance. If you have a way to give it haste, you can make it a 2/2 right away. I don't love it. The card draw on Ambrose is okay, but still don't love that either. Now we're back to the non-MDFCs. This includes a new Evergreen mechanic. The new Evergreen mechanic is Ward. But for Waterfall Aerialist, for 3 and a blue, a Jin Wizard with flying has Ward 2. So Ward is whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, you counter it unless it pays whatever the mana cost is for the ward. In this case, 2. I like this. They have used Ward mechanics for a while now without giving them a name. I like that they gave Ward a name. And it's a 3/1. Torrent Sculptor, back to another MDFC. 2 and 2 blues, a Merfolk Wizard with Ward 2. Then when it enters the battlefield, exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to half that card's mana value, rounded up. So, if you have a 2-drop that you exile, this becomes a 3/3. A 4-drop, you get the drift. The backside of it is Flamethrower Sonata, 1 and a red. It's a sorcery that loots, and then when you discard an instant or sorcery card this way, deals damage equal to that card's CMC to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. So it acts as a removal spell and card draw. So far, the Izzet cards in the set seem very strong. That can make that either Izzet or blue-red plus a 3rd color is a viable option. Maybe Jeskai, maybe Grixis. Who knows? I'm really liking where Izzet is right now. Now we're going to 3 colorless spells. First is Expanded Anatomy. 3 generic, put 2/1/1 counters on target creature. It gains vigilance until end of turn. Introduction to Annihilation for 5. Exile target non-land permanent. Its controller draws a card. An Introduction to Prophecy for 3. Scry 2, then draw a card. My favorite thing about these, which is also the scariest thing about them, is they break the color pie because they're generic. So you can put them in any deck. This gives white a way to draw cards where it struggles. It gives red a way to deal with enchantments where it struggles. It gives black a way to deal with enchantments where it struggles. Sure, it has a payoff if your opponent's drawing a card, but when you really don't have too many other options, it's giving you ways for those and to go and break that color pie, to go and be more flexible in your deck building. I actually do like them a lot. I'm just worried about what other colorless spells we're going to get. First Day of Class. 1 and a red, it's an instant. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it and gains haste until end of turn. And you have Learn. This is actually pretty cool. If you're getting this late game, and you have a decent sized hand, you get rid of your hand and swing out large. The downside to it is you might not have anything in hand if it's late game, especially if you're playing mono red. I still think this is decent. Especially with having Learn in limited, being able to pull a creature from your sideboard and then playing it, also pretty cool. So those are all the cards in the main set that have been unveiled today. Now we're going to go to the Commander 2021 cards that were unveiled. They were pretty much just the face cards. They are all based off of the different houses of Strixhaven. The first one is Zephi, Thunder Conductor, 2, a blue and a red. And whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, scry 1. If its mana value is 5 or greater, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. If its Mana value is 10 or greater. It deals 10 damage to an opponent chosen at random. So this could be good in a, well, I should say good. This is a great Storm Commander. It's a great big mana spell commander. And the art is awesome. It goes back to what my background is, which my background is a band and orchestral musician. I was a music major for 2 years. This really calls to me. I'm just not a spell slinger. If I'm playing instances of sorceries, it's to kill or counter, not to go and storm off. Willow Dusk Essence Seer. 1 a black and a green, 1 generic, and tapping it. Choose another target creature, put a number of +1/+1 counter on it equal to the amount of life you gain this turn, or the amount of life you lost this turn, whichever is greater. Activate only as a sorcery. This can be very good. So good. If it wasn't for that pesky activate only as a sorcery part, I see this being fun to build around, but it's not my style. Oskier the Reconstructor, 2 a red and a white. Vigilant. For 1 generic, sacrifice an artifact, target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. For X and tapping an exile an artifact card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create 2 tokens that are copies of the exile card, activate one as a sorcery. I love this second ability on him. It's a way to go and ramp. You're Soulwing right to your graveyard. For 1 mana and tapping him, you get 4 mana. Swiftfoot Boots went to the graveyard. For 2 mana, you get 2 Swiftfoot Boots. Those are just talking about commander staples. Now, there are people that think much quicker than I do about different things you go and pair with them and makes it even more degenerate. And I'm sure you'll find that. But just the ability to go and get multiple copies of artifacts, tons of fun. I like it. I would play that. It's a Boros commander that doesn't require attacking. I'd probably find a way to play it. It's super cool. Brina the Demagogue. For 1 a white and a black for a bird warlock. Has flying that whenever a player attacks one of your opponents, if that opponent has more life than another of your opponents, the attacking player draws a card, and you put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature you control. This actually pairs well with the Silver Quill Elder Dragon. You could go and kind of make a group hug deck with these guys. Hey, attack my opponent. Just make sure that they aren't the lowest life, and you get to draw a card. And I get to grow my creatures. Oh, let me attack you. I'll let you draw a card and lose life. Let me grow my creatures. It's just really cool. Doesn't necessarily lean into what Black and White likes to do with the +1/+1 counters. That's or the drawing cards necessarily, because White hates drawing cards. And the +1/+1 counters are more like the Celestia thing over an Orzhov thing, but it can still be lots of fun. Adrix and Neb, twin casters, 2 a green and a blue. Has Ward 2, and it's a Merfolk Wizard. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. This is super cool, super fun. A token deck, all day, every day. Worthwhile. Slap protection on it. It seems like a semi-commander that isn't especially broken. Seems like a Sim Commander that could be a lot of fun to play. I really like it. I can't wait to see what the Commander deck is like. Final section of today's video is going to be about the Mystical Archives. I'm not necessarily going to talk about the cards. You know them, you love them, you've already seen what these cards do. That's why they're in the Mystical Archives. I just want to show you the cool art that's come out so far. Opt, pretty sweet. Swords to Plowshares. I actually like the one from Commander Legends, I think it was, more. Demonic Tutor, super cool. Need that right away. Duress, pretty neat. The Ixalan one's pretty cool too. I'm not a huge fan of Duress in this kind of frame though. Lightning Bolt, super classic, super cool. Time Warp, a lot of fun. I like the swirl of the picture. It's really nice. Channel, not my thing. I'm sure people will enjoy it. I like the Warlock Druid type art that it's going with. Strategic Planning. I don't play Strategic Planning, but this art is very cool. Counterspell. Probably my favorite because that hand right in the center is just like, stop. You're not doing this. Abundant Harvest. This is one of the cards that is actually Modern Horizons 2. They just made this art for Strixhaven, which is choose land or non-land, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card of the chosen kind. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Not my bag. This is the Shock, super classic. Very cool art. Snakeskin Veil. Not a huge fan of this one, really. I'm not a huge fan of the art. Sign in Blood, super dope. Loose on Zenith, not a huge fan of it either. Day of Judgment, pretty decent. Could be better. I'd rather the big sun-looking Wrath of God one and just Wrath of God itself. Crossing Grip, I like this. I like the imagery of it. It's really cool. Urza's Rage, it's okay. Doesn't do a lot for me. Growth Spiral, Seb McKinnon's art is better. Cultivate, M21 All Art Cultivate, so much better. Weather the Storm, boring as hell. Dark Ritual, pretty freaking cool. I love this Dark Ritual art. I want this. Inquisition of Kozilek, pretty cool. Of course, I just like Kozilek, so might be a bit biased. Whirlwind Denial, very neat imagery. Not necessarily my style, but definitely very neat imagery. Village Rites, awesome. Mind's Desire. Where is someone going up steps? Someone's desire. Answer that for me. Steps are the worst. Defiant Strike? Not really, no. Ephemerate? The Tiger's better. Putrefy? Love the Skeleton King getting knocked off by the Queen. Harmonize? Teferi's Protection? Secret Lair's better. Teferi's Protection was the last one in that series. If you don't know what the Mystical Archives are, they're a set of, I think, 62 cards that are going to be in draft boosters and set boosters. You will get one in every single booster. They will also be available on Magic Arena. The only thing is, some of them on Magic Arena will not be playable in Historic. There's going to be a set list because they're deemed too powerful for Historic. Otherwise, if they're not deemed too powerful for Historic, you will be able to play the ones that aren't currently in Historic. If you buy collector's boosters, you're guaranteed, I think, 2 or 3 of these in each collector's booster pack. This art for these sets of the Mystical Archives, best all art in the past 2 years. Better than Godzilla, better than Double Masters, better than Stained Glass War of the Spark Planeswalkers, better than the anime Planeswalkers. Just really freaking good artwork on most of them. Awe-inspiring, jaw-dropping. But that's it for today. Like I said, this was going to be a longer video. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one.